Welcome back to Animeverse Lore. The story continues. What if Minato survived? Let's begin. The first enemy awakens. The voice echoed across all 9 realities. I am awake. Every village became silent. The 9 moons turned completely red. Naruto looked at the sky. So this is the first enemy. The older Naruto stood on the highest moon. Yes. Sasuke asked. How powerful is he? The older Naruto looked toward the golden tree. Power is not the problem. Naruto frowned. Then what is? He doesn't want to destroy the realities. He wants to change what reality means. Naruto looked confused. Explain. The older Naruto answered. He wants a world where choices don't exist. Minato's expression became serious. Then everyone would be controlled. The older Naruto nodded. Exactly. The golden tree suddenly released a massive shockwave. Naruto and the others were thrown backward. Era created a barrier. We need to move. Naruto stood up. Where? To the center of the 9 realities. Kai pointed toward the sky. That's where the first enemy will appear. Quote. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Then that's where we'll meet him. Sasuke nodded. Together, the group entered a portal. They arrived at a massive platform floating between the 9 moons. At the center stood the golden tree. But something was wrong. Its trunk had turned black. A deep crack ran from the roots to the highest branch. Naruto walked toward it. The first enemy is inside the tree. The older Naruto appeared beside them. Yes. Naruto looked at him. You said you came from the future. Yes. Then tell me how we stop him. The older Naruto remained silent. Naruto frowned. You know something. I know how this ends. Quote. Then tell me. The older Naruto looked directly at Naruto. In my timeline, you defeat him. Naruto relaxed. Then what's the problem? You defeat him by becoming him. Naruto's expression changed. The older Naruto continued. You use the Guardian Crown. You take control of every reality. You remove every dangerous choice. And you create peace. Sasuke looked at Naruto. But that peace isn't freedom. Quote. The older Naruto nodded. That's why I came back. Naruto looked at him. To stop me. To save you from yourself. The black crack in the golden tree widened. A hand emerged. Everyone prepared for battle. Naruto stepped forward. The first enemy finally appeared. He looked like a human. He had long black hair. His eyes were completely white. A strange symbol covered his forehead. He looked at Naruto. So you are the new guardian. Naruto raised his kunai. Yes. The first enemy smiled. You are weaker than I expected. Naruto laughed. People usually say that before losing. The first enemy raised one finger. Every weapon in the area disappeared. Sasuke's sword vanished. Minato's kunai vanished. Naruto's weapon vanished. Everyone froze. The first enemy smiled. Your weapons exist because you choose to use them. Quote. I simply removed the choice. Naruto stared at his empty hands. That's your power. I don't control matter. I control decisions. Sasuke immediately understood. That's why you are dangerous. Quote. The first enemy nodded. I can make a warrior choose peace. I can make a hero choose surrender. I can make a father choose to abandon his child. Minato stepped forward. You cannot control my choices. Quote. The first enemy looked at him. Are you certain? A black mark appeared on Minato's chest. Naruto rushed forward. Dad. Minato raised his hand. Stay back. Naruto stopped. The first enemy whispered. Choose. Minato looked at Naruto. Then at the enemy. I choose my son. The black mark disappeared. The first enemy looked surprised. Naruto smiled. You forgot something. What? You can influence choices. Quote. But you can't understand them. The first enemy's expression became serious. Naruto stepped forward. Because people don't always choose what makes sense. They choose what they believe in. The first enemy looked at him. And what do you believe in? Naruto answered. People. The golden tree suddenly began glowing. The 9 moons responded. Across every reality, people began making their own choices. Shinobi picked up their weapons. Villages opened their gates. Enemies helped each other. Families reunited. Thousands of choices created a massive golden energy. The first enemy stepped backward. What is this? Naruto smiled. The thing you can never control. Quote. Hope. The golden tree released a powerful wave. The first enemy raised his hand. But this time, nothing happened. His power could not control the choices being made across the 9 realities. Sasuke looked at Naruto. He's losing control. Naruto nodded. Then let's finish this. Naruto, Sasuke, Minato, and the others moved forward together. The first enemy looked at them. For the first time, fear appeared in his eyes. Then he smiled. Good. Naruto stopped. Why are you smiling? The first enemy answered. Because now I know exactly what I need to destroy. He looked directly at Minato. The bond between you and your father. Quote. The black symbol appeared around Minato once again. Naruto's expression changed. Dad. The first enemy smiled. Your greatest strength will become your greatest weakness. The bond that cannot be broken. The black symbol spread across Minato's chest. Naruto rushed toward him. Dad. Minato raised his hand. Naruto, stay back. The first enemy smiled. You cannot protect him. Naruto stopped. Why? Quote. Because I don't need to defeat Minato. I only need to make him choose. Minato clenched his fists. A dark energy surrounded him. Naruto looked at his father. Dad, listen to me. Minato looked at him. I'm listening. No matter what happens, don't let him decide for you. Minato nodded. I won't. The first enemy raised his hand. Suddenly, Minato disappeared. Naruto's eyes widened. Dad, Sasuke activated his Rinnegan. He took Minato into another dimension. Naruto looked at the first enemy. Bring him back. The first enemy shook his head. Find him yourself. Naruto stepped forward. The first enemy created a massive black portal. Inside that dimension, Minato must make one choice. What choice? Your life or his? Naruto's expression changed. The first enemy smiled. If Minato chooses himself, you die. If he chooses you, he dies. Quote. Naruto shook his head. Another false choice. The first enemy looked surprised. Naruto continued. You keep making the same mistake. What mistake? You think there are only two options. The guardian energy appeared around Naruto. I'll create a third. Naruto opened a portal. Sasuke stepped beside him. I'm coming. Naruto nodded. They entered the black dimension. The world inside was completely empty. Minato stood at the center. A black blade was floating in front of him. A voice echoed through the dimension. Choose. Minato looked at the blade. If you take it, Naruto survives. If you refuse, Naruto dies. Minato closed his eyes. I refuse. The voice became louder. Then your son dies. Minato smiled. You still don't understand my son. Naruto appeared behind him. Dad. Minato turned. Naruto smiled. You don't have to choose between us. Quote. The first enemy appeared. How did you enter? Naruto raised the golden leaf. Because my father wasn't alone. Sasuke stepped forward. And neither was Naruto. The first enemy attacked. Naruto blocked the strike. Sasuke attacked from the side. The first enemy vanished. He appeared behind Minato. Minato immediately teleported. The first enemy looked surprised. You still have your abilities. Minato smiled. I never lost them. Naruto looked at his father. Nice. Minato nodded. Your turn. Naruto rushed forward. The first enemy tried to control his decision. But Naruto stopped. He didn't choose to attack. He chose to trust. Sasuke understood immediately. He attacked from another direction. The first enemy couldn't predict them. Why can't I control you? Naruto smiled. Because we're not fighting separately. Quote. Sasuke added. We are making choices together. Minato joined them. The three stood side by side. Naruto looked at his father. Ready. Minato nodded. Sasuke raised his sword. Let's finish this. Quote. The three attacked simultaneously. The first enemy created a massive barrier. The barrier cracked, then shattered. The first enemy was thrown backward. Naruto rushed forward, but instead of attacking him, Naruto grabbed his hand. The first enemy stared at him. What are you doing? Naruto answered, giving you a choice. The first enemy froze. You can continue fighting, or you can stop. Nobody will control you. You don't have to control anyone. Quote. The first enemy looked at Naruto. For a moment, his expression softened. Then the black symbol on his forehead began glowing. A deeper voice came from behind him. You were never meant to choose. Quote. Everyone froze. The first enemy looked terrified. No. Naruto looked behind him. Another figure appeared. It was enormous. Its body was made of pure darkness. The first enemy turned toward it. You said I was free. The creature answered. You were never free. Naruto's eyes widened. The first enemy had been controlled too. The creature looked at Naruto. You defeated my servant. Naruto tightened his fist. Who are you? The creature smiled. I am the one who created the first enemy. Sasuke's expression changed. Then you're the true enemy. The creature looked at Naruto. No, I am something far older. Quote, I existed before the first choice. The golden leaf began shaking. The creature continued, and now I have come to collect what belongs to me. Naruto asked, what belongs to you? The creature pointed toward the golden leaf. That. Naruto looked at the leaf. The creature smiled. The power of choice itself. The entire golden tree began turning black. Naruto realized the truth. The first enemy was never the final enemy. He was only the beginning. The one before choice. The entire golden tree turned black. Naruto held the golden leaf tightly. The ancient creature stared at him. Give it to me. Naruto shook his head. No. The creature smiled. You still don't understand. I don't need to defeat you. I only need to make you choose. Naruto looked at Sasuke, the first enemy, Minato. Everyone was watching him. The creature raised its hand. Suddenly, thousands of visions appeared around Naruto. In one vision, Minato died. In another, Sasuke died. In another, the village disappeared. Another showed every reality collapsing. Naruto closed his eyes. The creature spoke. Choose one future. Naruto opened his eyes. I refuse. The creature's smile disappeared. Why? Because you keep giving me the same choice. Naruto raised the golden leaf. You want me to choose between saving one person and saving everyone. Between peace and freedom. Between power and weakness. But there is always another path. The creature became angry. There is no other path. Quote, Naruto smiled. Then I'll create one. The golden leaf released a massive golden wave. The visions disappeared. The first enemy looked at Naruto. How are you doing this? Naruto answered, I'm not controlling the future. Quote, I'm creating possibilities. Sasuke understood. He's expanding the choices. Minato smiled. That's Naruto. The creature attacked. A massive black hand moved toward Naruto. Sasuke blocked it with Susanoo. The impact shattered the Susanoo instantly. Sasuke was thrown backward. Naruto caught him. Are you okay? Sasuke nodded. Yeah. Minato teleported beside them. We need another plan. Naruto looked at the creature. I have one. Sasuke asked. What? We don't fight it. Minato looked surprised. Then what do we do? Naruto pointed toward the first enemy. We free him. The first enemy looked shocked. Me. Quote. Naruto nodded. You were created to control choices. But now you understand freedom. The first enemy looked toward the creature. It controls me. Naruto answered. Then choose to break free. Quote. The first enemy clenched his fists. The black symbol on his forehead began glowing. The creature shouted, you cannot resist me. The first enemy looked at Naruto. Can I really choose? Naruto smiled. Yes. The first enemy closed his eyes. I choose freedom. The black symbol shattered. A massive explosion of golden energy spread across the dimension. The creature stepped backward. Impossible. Quote. The first enemy stood beside Naruto. For the first time, I made my own choice. Naruto nodded. Welcome. The creature became furious. You were created to obey. The first enemy answered. I was created, but I was never created to remain a slave. The creature attacked again. This time the first enemy blocked it. Naruto and Sasuke joined him. Minato stood behind them. The four fought together. The creature's attacks became stronger. Every strike destroyed entire sections of reality. But the 9 realities began responding. Shinobi from different worlds appeared. Villages opened portals. Different versions of Naruto arrived. Different versions of Sasuke. Different versions of Minato. Even the Forgotten Worlds joined the battle. Naruto looked around in amazement. We're not alone. The dark Naruto smiled. You never were. Thousands of shinobi raised their weapons. The creature looked at them. You believe numbers can defeat me? Naruto answered. No, we believe choices can. Quote. Every person chose to stand together. The golden tree began glowing again. Its black branches slowly turned golden. The creature screamed. No. The golden leaf rose into the sky. Every reality connected to it. The creature's power began disappearing. Naruto looked at it. You wanted the power of choice. But choice was never something you could own. The creature struggled. It belongs to everyone. Naruto nodded. Exactly. The creature's body began breaking apart. Before disappearing, it looked at Naruto. You have won this battle. Naruto frowned. Battle. The creature smiled. You still don't know what exists beyond the golden tree. Quote. A massive crack appeared behind it. Naruto looked toward the darkness. The creature's final words echoed through the multiverse. The golden tree is not the end. It is a door. Then the creature disappeared. Silence returned. The 9 realities stabilized. The first enemy looked at Naruto. What happens now? Naruto smiled. Now we rebuild. Minato placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder. Together. Sasuke nodded. Together. The golden tree released one final light. A new branch appeared. But this branch was different. It did not lead to another reality. It led somewhere completely unknown. Kai looked at it. That isn't another world. Naruto stared at the branch. Then where does it lead? Kai answered. Beyond existence itself. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Sasuke smiled. Looks like our journey isn't over. Quote. Naruto laughed. Then let's see what's on the other side. The new branch opened. And beyond it stood a massive city floating outside reality. At its center was a single throne. But this time, someone was already sitting on it. The figure slowly turned toward Naruto. And Naruto recognized the face. It was himself. The Naruto beyond reality. Naruto stared at the figure sitting on the throne. It looked exactly like him. But something was different. This Naruto had completely silver hair. His eyes contained the symbols of all 9 realities. Sasuke stepped forward. Another version of Naruto. The silver-haired Naruto smiled. Not another version. Quote. Naruto frowned. Then who are you? The silver-haired Naruto stood. I am the Naruto who exists outside reality. Minato tightened his grip on his kunai. Why are you sitting on that throne? The silver-haired Naruto looked at it. Because someone had to. Naruto walked closer. You don't have to rule anyone. The silver-haired Naruto smiled. I don't rule them. I protect the space between realities. Naruto looked around. What is this place? The space where destroyed possibilities go. Kai looked shocked. The void. The silver-haired Naruto nodded. Yes. Naruto looked at him. Why did you bring us here? I didn't. Quote. Then who did? The silver-haired Naruto pointed behind Naruto. Everyone turned. The new golden tree branch was still open. A dark shadow stood inside it. Naruto immediately recognized the presence. The creature. The silver-haired Naruto shook his head. No, the creature you fought was only a guardian. Naruto's expression changed. Guardian of what? The silver-haired Naruto looked toward the throne. Of the one who created the void. Sasuke asked. Who created it? The silver-haired Naruto remained silent. Then the throne began shaking. A voice came from beneath it. You finally arrived. Naruto stepped forward. Show yourself. The ground cracked. A figure slowly emerged. It looked human. It had golden hair, blue eyes, and a familiar forehead protector. Naruto stared. Who are you? The figure smiled. I am the first person who ever made a choice. Naruto's eyes widened. The first choice. The figure nodded. Yes. Sasuke raised his sword. Then you're the one behind everything. The first choice shook his head. No, I am not behind everything. I am the beginning of everything. Naruto frowned. What is the difference? The first choice answered. Before me, there was no decision. No freedom. No possibility. Quote. No reality. I was the first thought that asked. What if? The golden tree began glowing. Naruto understood. That question created everything. The first choice nodded. Every world. Every Naruto. Every Sasuke. Every version of Minato. Every possibility. Naruto looked at the countless realities. Then why destroy them? The first choice smiled. I don't want to destroy them. Quote. I want to see what happens when every possibility exists at once. Sasuke asked. And what happens? The first choice looked toward Naruto. Eventually, one possibility becomes stronger than all others. Quote. Naruto's expression became serious. Which one? The first choice pointed toward Naruto. You. Naruto froze. Me. The first choice nodded. Every reality eventually creates a Naruto who chooses freedom. Quote. Every version learns the same lesson. Every story leads to the same point. The Guardian. Naruto looked at the silver-haired Naruto. You became the Guardian. The silver-haired Naruto nodded. Yes. The first choice continued. But there can only be one Guardian. Naruto's eyes narrowed. What happens to the others? They disappear. Silence filled the void. Minato stepped forward. No. The first choice looked at him. Your son cannot escape the rule. Naruto raised the golden leaf. Then I'll break the rule. The first choice smiled. I knew you would say that. The void began shaking. The silver-haired Naruto raised his hand. Naruto, wait. Naruto looked at him. What? You don't understand. I tried to break the rule too. And I failed. Naruto stared at him. Why? The silver-haired Naruto looked toward the golden tree. Because I tried to destroy the system. Naruto understood. You couldn't destroy it. No. So what did you do? I changed the system. The silver-haired Naruto pointed toward the golden leaf. The answer isn't to create one guardian. It is to create many. Naruto looked at the leaf. The symbols of the 9 realities began multiplying. Sasuke stared. The golden leaf is dividing. Naruto smiled. Not dividing. Sharing. Golden light spread across the void. Every reality received a fragment of the guardian power. The first choice stepped backward. What are you doing? Naruto answered. Making sure no single person controls everything. The silver-haired Naruto smiled. Exactly. The first choice looked at the growing light. For the first time, fear appeared in his eyes. You are changing the original rule. Naruto nodded. Yes. Then you are no longer following the story. Naruto smiled. I'm writing my own. The entire void exploded with golden light. When the light disappeared, the throne was empty. The silver-haired Naruto was gone. The first choice had disappeared. And Naruto stood alone before the golden tree. Sasuke walked toward him. Where did everyone go? Naruto looked around. I don't know. Minato appeared beside him. Naruto. Naruto looked at his father. Minato smiled. You did it. Naruto shook his head. We did it. Suddenly, a small golden leaf floated down. Naruto caught it. A message appeared. The next story begins with your choice. Naruto smiled. He looked toward the endless void. Then I know what I'm choosing. Sasuke asked. What? Naruto looked at his family. Home. The golden tree opened a portal. Beyond it was Konoha. There Konoha. Naruto stepped forward. But before entering, he heard a voice from the darkness. Naruto. He stopped. A young voice whispered. Wait for me. Naruto turned. A small figure stood in the void. It had blonde hair, blue eyes, and a tiny golden leaf in its hand. Naruto stared at the child. Who are you? The child smiled. I'm the Naruto from the reality you haven't created yet. Quote. Naruto's eyes widened. The child continued. And I need your help. The child from the future. Naruto stared at the child standing in the void. The boy looked no older than 7. His blonde hair was messy. His blue eyes were bright. A tiny golden leaf rested in his hand. Naruto slowly approached him. What is your name? The boy smiled. Naruto. Sasuke looked at Naruto. Another Naruto. The child nodded, but not from another reality. Naruto frowned. Then where are you from? The boy pointed toward the empty space behind him. From a future that hasn't happened yet. Minato stepped closer. How can a person exist before their reality is created? Quote. The child answered. Because someone outside reality created me. Naruto's expression became serious. Who? The child looked toward the darkness. I don't know. Suddenly, his golden leaf began shaking. The boy fell to his knees. Naruto caught him. Are you okay? The boy looked frightened. He's coming. Who? The person who created my world. The void began shaking. Sasuke activated his Rinnegan. Something is approaching. A huge black portal appeared. The child grabbed Naruto's arm. Don't let him take me. Naruto stepped in front of the boy. No one is taking you. A deep voice echoed through the void. Give me the child. Naruto raised his kunai. No. The voice became louder. You don't understand what he is. Naruto answered. Then explain. The portal opened. A tall figure stepped through. He wore a white cloak. His face was hidden. 9 symbols covered his arms. The figure looked at the child. You were never supposed to reach this reality. The child hid behind Naruto. Naruto asked. Who are you? The figure answered. I am the keeper. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Keeper of what? The unfinished realities. Naruto looked at the child. He's from an unfinished reality. The keeper nodded. His world has not been created. Yet he already exists. Naruto asked. Why? The keeper looked at the child. Because he is carrying the final choice. Naruto looked at the golden leaf. What choice? Quote. The keeper answered. The choice that determines which reality becomes the main timeline. Everyone became silent. Minato stepped forward. Main timeline. The keeper nodded. After everything you have done, the multiverse has become unstable. Quote, thousands of realities now have equal importance. The system requires one reality to become the central reality. Naruto shook his head. No. The keeper looked at him. You cannot stop it. Naruto answered. We don't need a central reality. The keeper shook his head. You already tried that. The result was chaos. Naruto looked at the child. What does he have to do with it? The keeper pointed at the boy. He is the final candidate. If his reality becomes the central reality, every other reality will slowly disappear. Naruto's expression changed. The child looked terrified. I don't want that. Naruto placed his hand on the boy's shoulder. You won't have to. The keeper stepped forward. Give him to me. No, you are protecting someone who could destroy billions of lives. Naruto looked at him. Then we'll find another way. The keeper laughed. You always say that. Naruto smiled. Because it keeps working. The keeper raised his hand. The entire void froze. Sasuke couldn't move. Minato couldn't move. The child couldn't move. Only Naruto remained conscious. The keeper looked at him. You are the guardian. Naruto nodded. Yes. Then you know the rule. What rule? The guardian cannot interfere with the central choice. Naruto looked at the child. Then I won't choose for him. The keeper looked surprised. Naruto continued. I'll protect his right to choose. The golden leaf in the child's hand began glowing. The frozen world started moving again. Sasuke looked at Naruto. Something changed. Naruto nodded. The child made his choice. The keeper turned toward him. What did you choose? The child stepped out from behind Naruto. I choose a world where nobody has to disappear. Quote, the keeper shook his head. That is impossible. The child raised his golden leaf. Then I'll make it possible. The void exploded with golden light. Every unfinished reality appeared. Millions of worlds. Millions of people. Millions of choices. The keeper looked horrified. You awakened the final leaf. Naruto stared at the child. What is the final leaf? The keeper answered. The power to create a reality without destroying another. Quote, Naruto smiled. Then we finally found the answer. The child looked at Naruto. Will you help me? Naruto nodded. Of course. The final leaf connected to the golden tree. A new branch began growing. But unlike every other branch, this one had no end. It connected every reality together. The keeper slowly lowered his hand. The central reality is no longer necessary. Sasuke smiled. Then the system is changing again. Quote, Minato looked at Naruto. Your journey really changed everything. Naruto laughed. I guess that's what happens when you refuse to accept impossible choices. The child smiled. But suddenly, the final leaf cracked. Naruto's smile disappeared. The child looked at his hand. Something is wrong. A voice came from the new branch. You should never have created me. Naruto looked upward. The branch began turning black. A familiar figure appeared inside it. The silver-haired Naruto. But this time, his eyes were completely black. He looked at Naruto and smiled. I warned you. The void was never the real danger. Naruto tightened his grip. Then what is? The silver-haired Naruto answered. The story itself. The story that fights back. The silver-haired Naruto stood inside the blackened branch. Naruto stared at him. What do you mean, the story itself? The silver-haired Naruto smiled. Every reality has rules. Every world has a beginning. Every hero has an ending. Naruto raised his kunai. And, you have broken too many rules. Quote, Sasuke stepped forward. Who created those rules? The silver-haired Naruto looked toward the golden tree. The first storytellers. Naruto frowned. Storytellers. They created realities by imagining them. Quote, they decided who would live. They decided who would die. They decided which choices mattered. Minato looked at Naruto. Then our entire existence was created by someone else. The silver-haired Naruto nodded. Yes. Naruto looked at the golden tree. But we have already changed the rules. That is why they are coming. Suddenly, thousands of black pages appeared across the sky. Each page contained a different reality. Naruto saw Konoha. Another page showed a destroyed village. Another showed Minato as Hokage. Another showed Naruto alone. The pages began burning. The child from the future looked terrified. What is happening? Quote, the silver-haired Naruto answered. The story is being rewritten. Naruto's expression changed. By whom? A massive hand appeared above the golden tree. It reached toward the pages. Naruto immediately raised the golden leaf. Stop. The hand continued. Naruto released a golden wave. The hand disappeared for a moment. Sasuke stared at the sky. You actually stopped it. Naruto shook his head. No, it stopped because it wanted to. Quote. A voice echoed across the void. Interesting. Everyone looked upward. A massive eye opened above the golden tree. Naruto felt a pressure unlike anything before. The eye looked directly at him. You have become difficult to write. Naruto clenched his fists. Who are you? I am the narrator. The child stepped backward. That's the one. Naruto looked at him. You know him. The child nodded. He created my unfinished world. The narrator spoke again. You were never meant to exist. Naruto answered. But I do. You were meant to follow your predetermined path. Naruto smiled. I stopped doing that a long time ago. Quote. The narrator became silent. Then hundreds of black lines appeared around Naruto. They wrapped around his arms. Naruto tried to move. The lines tightened. Sasuke attacked them. His sword passed straight through. They aren't physical. The narrator said. They are written consequences. Naruto looked at the lines. What happens if they reach me? You return to your original story. Naruto's eyes narrowed. And what was my original story? The narrator answered. Loss. Naruto froze. The black lines suddenly showed visions. Minato dying. Kushina dying. Naruto growing up alone. Sasuke leaving the village. The Fourth Shinobi War. Everything Naruto had already experienced. The narrator spoke. Your pain created your strength. Your suffering created your choices. You were never supposed to escape it. Quote. Naruto looked at the visions. Then he smiled. You're wrong. The narrator asked. About what? My past made me who I am. But it doesn't decide who I become. The golden leaf began glowing. The black lines started breaking. Naruto pulled his arms free. The narrator's voice became louder. You cannot rewrite your own story. Naruto raised the leaf. I don't need to rewrite it. I just need to continue it. Quote. The golden tree exploded with golden light. Every reality appeared at once. People across the multiverse began making choices. The narrator tried to control the pages. But the pages began writing themselves. Sasuke stared in amazement. The worlds are creating their own stories. Naruto smiled. Exactly. The child raised his final leaf. His unfinished reality began taking shape. Minato looked at the growing world. Every person is writing their own future. The silver-haired Naruto looked at Naruto. You finally understand. Naruto nodded. The golden tree was never meant to control reality. It was meant to give reality a chance to choose. Quote. The narrator became furious. You are destroying the purpose of the story. Naruto looked directly at the enormous eye. No, we are giving the story a purpose. The golden tree reached toward the narrator. Golden branches wrapped around the massive eye. The narrator tried to escape. But every reality joined together. Thousands of choices became one force. The eye began disappearing. Before it vanished, the narrator spoke. You think you have won? Naruto answered. No, I think we have finally started. The eye disappeared. The black pages turned white. The void became peaceful. The child looked at his newly formed reality. It exists. Naruto smiled. You created your own world. The child looked at him. No, we created it together. Naruto laughed. The silver-haired Naruto walked toward them. My role is finished. Quote. Naruto looked at him. Where will you go? Wherever the next choice leads. He turned toward the void. Before leaving, he looked back. Naruto. Yes, one last warning. Naruto became serious. What? The silver-haired Naruto pointed toward the golden tree. The narrator was not the highest power. Naruto's expression changed. Then who is? The silver-haired Naruto smiled. You. Naruto froze. What? You are no longer just a character. You have become a creator. The golden tree suddenly released a new light. A blank world appeared before Naruto. There were no people, no villages, no history, no destiny, only endless possibilities. The child looked at Naruto. What will you create? Naruto stared at the empty world. Then he smiled. Nothing. Everyone looked surprised. Naruto continued. I won't create it. I'll let the people who live there choose what it becomes. The golden tree glowed brighter. A new age had begun. But somewhere beyond even the void, something opened its eyes. It had been watching Naruto from the beginning. And this time, it was not a storyteller. It was the first being to ever exist. The first being. Beyond the void, something opened its eyes. There was no body, no shape, no chakra, it was simply consciousness. Naruto suddenly felt its presence. He turned toward the darkness. Someone is there. Sasuke activated his Rinnegan. I can't see anything. Minato looked at the golden tree. Neither can I. The child from the future held his final leaf tightly. I can feel it. Naruto looked at him. What is it? The child shook his head. I don't know. A voice echoed through the empty space. I remember. Everyone became silent. Naruto stepped forward. Remember what? The voice answered. Everything. The darkness began changing. Images appeared across the void. The first light. The first shadow. The first thought. The first choice. The first reality. The first golden tree. Naruto watched in silence. Sasuke whispered. This is older than the golden tree. The voice answered. Yes, I existed before your tree. Quote. Naruto asked. Who are you? The darkness formed a massive silhouette. I have many names. The first mind. The origin. The beginning. But you may call me Ion. Naruto raised his kunai. Why have you been watching us? Ion answered. Because you have done something impossible. What? You changed the purpose of existence. Naruto frowned. What was existence supposed to be? Ion replied. Survival. Nothing more. Every being was created to survive. Every reality fought against every other reality. Every choice was made from fear. Naruto looked toward the countless worlds. And then I created the first choice. Naruto's eyes widened. You created the first choice. Ion nodded. I wanted to know what would happen if existence could choose. Sasuke asked. Then why did everything become so dangerous? Quote. Ion looked at Naruto. Because choice creates uncertainty. Uncertainty creates fear. Fear creates control. Naruto understood. That's how the first enemy was born. Yes. The outer realm. Quote. Yes. The guardian. Yes. Everything. Yes. Naruto looked at the golden tree. Then you caused all of this. Ion shook his head. I created the opportunity. Everyone else made the choices. Quote. Naruto remained silent. Ion continued. You blame me for the suffering. But suffering was never my intention. Naruto asked. Then why are you here now? Ion looked toward the child. Because the final leaf has awakened. Quote. The child stepped forward. What does that mean? Ion answered. It means existence no longer needs a creator. Naruto looked at the child. Isn't that a good thing? Ion nodded. It is. Then why do you sound worried? Quote. Ion became silent. Because when creation becomes independent, the creator becomes unnecessary. Naruto understood. You are afraid of becoming unnecessary. Ion looked at him. Yes. Naruto lowered his weapon. Then you are just like everyone else. Ion asked. How? You are afraid of losing your purpose. Ion remained silent. Naruto continued. But you don't need to control existence to have a purpose. Quote. Ion looked toward the golden tree. What purpose would remain? Naruto smiled. To watch, to learn, to experience, and to let others choose. Ion looked at Naruto for a long moment. You sound like the first Naruto. Quote. Naruto frowned. What do you mean? Ion answered. The first Naruto said the same thing. He believed existence should belong to everyone. Naruto looked toward the ancient branches. Then what happened to him? Quote. Ion's expression changed. He disappeared. Naruto froze. How? He gave up his existence to create the first golden tree. Minato looked shocked. So the first Naruto sacrificed himself for every reality. Quote. Ion nodded. Naruto looked at the golden tree. Then I understand. Understand what? Why the guardian crown chose me. Ion looked at him. Tell me. Naruto answered. Because the first Naruto didn't disappear. Quote. He became the tree. The golden tree began glowing. Every branch moved toward Naruto. Ion looked surprised. You have discovered the truth. Naruto placed his hand on the tree. I can feel him. Quote. A familiar voice echoed through the branches. Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened. Dad. Minato looked at him. What happened? Naruto shook his head. Not my dad. The voice spoke again. I have been waiting for you. Quote. Naruto looked at the golden tree. The voice continued. You have reached the beginning. And now you must make the final choice. Naruto asked. What choice? The entire golden tree opened. A path appeared inside its trunk. At the end stood the first Naruto. He looked exactly like Naruto. But his eyes were peaceful. He smiled. You can return home. or you can stay here. Naruto stared at him. Why would I stay? The first Naruto answered. Because someone must protect the choices of every reality. Naruto looked at his family. Sasuke, Minato, the child. Everyone waited for his decision. Naruto smiled. I choose home. Quote. The first Naruto nodded. Good. Why? Because the moment a guardian chooses the throne over home, they stop being a guardian. Naruto understood. The first Naruto smiled. You were never meant to become me. Quote. You were meant to become yourself. The golden tree released a final wave of light. The path disappeared. Naruto returned to his friends. The multiverse was stable. The void was peaceful. Aion looked at Naruto. I finally understand. Naruto smiled. What? Existence does not need a ruler. It needs people who are willing to choose. Naruto nodded. Exactly. Aion slowly disappeared into the darkness. Before vanishing, he spoke one final sentence. Then let the next age begin. Naruto looked toward Konoha. The portal home opened. Minato smiled. Ready. Naruto nodded. Let's go home. They stepped through the portal. But as Naruto entered Konoha, the small golden leaf in his hand suddenly changed. A new symbol appeared. Naruto stared at it. Sasuke looked over his shoulder. What does it mean? Naruto smiled. I don't know. Quote. The leaf released a tiny pulse of chakra. Far away, beyond the 9 realities, another golden tree began growing. And this time, it was growing without a guardian. The world without a guardian. Konoha was peaceful. For the first time in a long time, Naruto could simply walk through the village without preparing for another battle. Children were playing near the academy. Shinobi were returning from missions. Shopkeepers were calling customers. The smell of fresh ramen filled the streets. Naruto smiled. Home. Minato looked around. I never thought I would see Konoha like this. Sasuke glanced at Naruto. You deserved a peaceful day. Naruto laughed. Let's hope it stays peaceful. The child from the future walked beside them. He looked around with curiosity. So this is your home? Naruto nodded. Yes. The child smiled. I like it. Minato looked at him. Then you can stay here until we figure out where you belong. The child looked surprised. Really? Minato smiled. Of course. Naruto placed his hand on the child's head. You're part of the family now. The child smiled. But suddenly, the golden leaf in Naruto's hand began glowing. Naruto stopped. Sasuke noticed immediately. What is it? Naruto looked at the leaf. The new golden tree is growing. Minato frowned. Without a guardian? Naruto nodded. Yes. The leaf showed a vision. A new world. There was no Hokage, no shinobi system, no villages, no great wars. The people of that world were creating their own society. Naruto watched quietly. They are doing it themselves. Sasuke smiled. Then the system worked. Naruto nodded. But then the vision changed. A huge black mark appeared above the new world. Naruto's expression became serious. Something is wrong. The child stepped closer. What? Naruto pointed toward the mark. Someone is trying to enter. Quote. The black mark opened. A figure stepped through. Naruto recognized him. The keeper. The keeper looked directly at Naruto. I told you the unfinished realities were dangerous. Naruto raised his hand. What do you want? The keeper answered. I came to warn you. About what? The world without a guardian. Naruto frowned. What about it? The people there have made their first mistake. Sasuke asked. What mistake? They chose to create a leader. Naruto looked at the vision. A throne appeared in the center of the new world. A young ruler sat upon it. The people bowed. Naruto shook his head. That's their choice. The keeper nodded. Yes, but the ruler has chosen something else. The vision zoomed closer. The ruler was holding a black fragment of the golden leaf. Naruto's eyes widened. That fragment. The keeper nodded. It contains the power of the old guardian. Naruto looked at the leaf in his hand. How did he get it? The keeper answered. He found it. Naruto became serious. What will he do with it? The keeper looked toward the new world. Create a perfect society. Sasuke sighed. We've seen this before. Naruto nodded. But this time there is no guardian to stop him. Quote. The child looked at Naruto. Then you have to go. Naruto looked at him. Why? Because you know what happens when someone tries to create a perfect world. Naruto smiled. You were right. Minato stepped forward. I'm coming. Sasuke nodded. Me too. Naruto looked at the others. We'll go together. The keeper opened a portal. Naruto stepped through. They arrived in the new world. The people were living peacefully. There were no wars, no poverty, no crime. Everything looked perfect. Naruto looked around. This place feels wrong. Sasuke nodded. Too quiet. A group of citizens walked toward them. Every person wore the same expression. Every person spoke the same words. Welcome. Naruto looked at them. Are you happy? They all answered together. Yes. Naruto frowned. Do you choose to be happy? They answered. We do not need to choose. Quote. Naruto's expression changed. That's the problem. A voice came from behind them. Welcome, Naruto Uzumaki. The ruler walked toward them. He wore a golden crown. The black fragment floated above his hand. I have created what you failed to create. Naruto asked. What is that? A perfect world. Naruto looked around. Where are the people's choices? The ruler smiled. They don't need them anymore. Quote. Naruto stepped forward. Then they aren't free. The ruler raised the black fragment. Freedom creates suffering. Naruto shook his head. Freedom creates responsibility. The ruler laughed. You still believe that? Quote. Naruto looked directly at him. Yes. The black fragment began glowing. The entire world froze. Everyone stopped moving. The ruler smiled. Then let me show you what happens when freedom disappears. Quote. Naruto's eyes widened. The sky turned black, and every person in the world slowly turned toward Naruto. The ruler pointed at him. Choose. Save this world, or restore their freedom. Naruto looked at the people. Then at Minato. Then Sasuke. He smiled. I choose neither. The ruler frowned. What? Naruto raised the golden leaf. I choose to give them their choice back. The leaf began glowing. The entire world shook. The ruler's crown cracked. For the first time, the people began moving on their own. One person looked at another. A woman whispered, I want to choose. A child raised his hand. I want to decide my future. Quote. Another person shouted, I want to be free. The black fragment began breaking apart. The ruler stared at Naruto. You are destroying perfection. Naruto smiled. No, I'm giving them a life. Quote. The fragment shattered. Golden light spread across the world. The throne disappeared. The ruler fell to his knees. Naruto walked toward him. You made a mistake. The ruler looked up. What? You thought peace meant silence. Naruto smiled. Real peace is when people can speak, disagree, and still choose not to destroy each other. The people began rebuilding their world. The keeper watched silently. You have done it again. Naruto looked at him. Done what? Changed a reality without ruling it. The keeper smiled. Then his expression suddenly changed. He looked toward the sky. Naruto noticed. What happened? The keeper whispered. The new golden tree has stopped growing. Naruto looked upward. The tree had completely stopped. A single black leaf appeared on its highest branch. The keeper's face became pale. That leaf should not exist. Naruto stared at it. Why? The keeper answered. Because it belongs to a reality that was never supposed to be created. The black leaf slowly opened. A familiar voice came from inside it. Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened. He knew that voice. It was the voice of the first Naruto. The first Naruto returns. The black leaf floated above the golden tree. Naruto stared at it. The voice came again. Naruto. Naruto stepped forward. First Naruto. The black leaf released a golden light. A figure slowly appeared. It was the first Naruto. The same peaceful eyes. The same blonde hair. But this time, he looked different. He was wearing a black cloak. Naruto looked at him carefully. Why are you here? The first Naruto smiled. Because you created something I never could. Naruto frowned. What? A reality without a guardian. Quote. The keeper looked shocked. That was impossible. The first Naruto looked at him. Only because you believed it was. The keeper stepped backward. You disappeared. The first Naruto nodded. I did. Quote. Then how are you alive? I am not alive. Naruto's expression changed. Then what are you? The first Naruto touched the golden tree. I am a memory. Naruto looked confused. A memory of the choice that created everything. Quote. The black leaf began glowing. The first Naruto continued. When I sacrificed myself to create the golden tree, part of my consciousness remained inside it. Naruto looked at the tree. So you've been watching us? Quote. Yes. Why didn't you help earlier? The first Naruto smiled. Because you needed to make your own choices. Naruto nodded. Then why appear now? The first Naruto looked toward the sky. Because something has changed. Quote, the entire world became silent. Even the wind stopped. The first Naruto looked serious. The golden tree has created a branch that even I cannot see. Naruto frowned. Where? Beyond the future. Quote, Sasuke stepped forward. What does that mean? The first Naruto answered. It means there is now a reality that exists outside time. Minato looked at Naruto. Can we reach it? The first Naruto nodded. But there is a problem. Naruto asked. What? Someone is already living there. The child from the future stepped forward. Who? The first Naruto looked at him. You. The child froze. Me. Quote, yes. Naruto stared at the child. How can he exist in a reality outside time? The first Naruto answered. Because he is not from the future. He is from the possibility of the future. Naruto understood. He is a choice that hasn't been made yet. The child looked at his golden leaf. Then what happens if I choose wrong? The first Naruto smiled. You cannot choose wrong. Every choice creates a different path. Quote, the child nodded. The keeper suddenly spoke. That is exactly the problem. Everyone looked at him. The keeper continued. If every choice creates a new reality, the multiverse will never stop growing. Quote, Naruto asked. Is that bad? The keeper answered. It will eventually become infinite. Naruto smiled. Isn't that the point? The keeper shook his head. No, an infinite number of realities cannot remain connected. Quote, the golden tree will collapse. Sasuke asked. Then what do we do? The first Naruto looked at Naruto. There is only one solution. Naruto waited. Separate the realities completely. Naruto frowned. If we separate them, they won't be able to help each other. Correct. They won't be able to communicate. Correct. They won't be connected by the golden tree. Correct. Naruto looked toward the tree. Then the multiverse will become isolated. The first Naruto nodded. Yes. Naruto thought for a moment. Then maybe that's what they need. Everyone looked at him. Naruto continued. We spent so long trying to connect every reality. Quote, maybe freedom means allowing them to grow separately. Sasuke smiled. That makes sense. Minato nodded. Every world should have the chance to become itself. The keeper looked uncertain. If you do this, the golden tree will disappear. Quote, Naruto asked. What happens to the people? They continue living. Then do it. The keeper stared at him. You are willing to destroy the golden tree. Naruto smiled. The tree was never the important part. Quote, what is? The people. The first Naruto smiled proudly. Now you understand. The golden tree began breaking apart. Branches separated. Reality after reality became independent. The 9 original moons moved away. The forgotten worlds gained their own skies. The unfinished worlds became complete. The void became silent. The golden tree disappeared. But every reality remained alive. Naruto looked around. It's over. Quote, Sasuke nodded. For real this time. Minato smiled. Maybe. The child laughed. Maybe. Everyone laughed. Then Naruto noticed something. The small golden leaf in his hand had disappeared. In its place was something else. A simple white leaf. Naruto picked it up. There was no power inside it. No chakra. No symbols. Only a single word. Choice. Naruto smiled. The first Naruto began disappearing. Naruto looked at him. Are you leaving? The first Naruto nodded. My purpose is complete. Naruto stepped closer. Will I ever see you again? The first Naruto smiled. Every time you make a choice for yourself. His body turned into golden particles. Remember, Naruto, your story doesn't belong to anyone else. It belongs to you. The first Naruto disappeared. Naruto looked at the empty sky. Sasuke stood beside him, ready to go home. Naruto nodded. Yes. They returned to Konoha. The village was peaceful. The child from the future stayed with them. Minato returned to his office. Sasuke continued his travels. Naruto finally sat on the Hokage monument. He looked at the village below. For the first time, there was no enemy. No prophecy. No guardian. No golden tree. No destiny waiting to control him. Only tomorrow. Naruto smiled. I choose tomorrow. Quote, and somewhere beyond the separated realities, a single white leaf appeared. It carried no power, no prophecy, no command, only a reminder. Every story begins with a choice. The white leaf. Several days had passed since the golden tree disappeared. Konoha had returned to normal. Naruto was sitting on the Hokage monument, looking at the village below. For the first time, he felt completely free. No guardian crown. No mysterious enemy. No voice from another reality. Just Konoha. Sasuke appeared beside him. You look different. Naruto smiled. I feel different. Peaceful. Very. Sasuke looked toward the village. Do you think it will last? Naruto laughed. This is Konoha. Something always happens. Sasuke smiled. Suddenly, Naruto felt a strange sensation. He looked at his hand. The white leaf had returned. Sasuke stared at it. Wasn't that gone? Naruto nodded. It was. The leaf began glowing. A small portal opened above them. Naruto stood up. Again, Sasuke sighed. I knew peace wouldn't last. A voice came from the portal. Naruto Uzumaki. Quote, Naruto looked upward. Who are you? A young girl stepped through. She had silver hair and bright green eyes. She wore a simple white cloak. Naruto lowered his guard. Are you from another reality? Quote, the girl shook her head. No. Then where are you from? She pointed toward the white leaf. From the choice you made. Naruto frowned. My choice. She nodded. When you separated the realities, you created something new. Quote, what? Independence. Naruto looked confused. That doesn't explain who you are. The girl smiled. My name is Mira. Nice to meet you. Naruto lowered his kunai. What do you need? Mira looked toward Konoha. Your help. Naruto sighed. What happened? Mira answered. One of the separated realities has disappeared. Naruto's expression changed. How? We don't know. Sasuke stepped forward. Was the reality destroyed? Quote, Mira shook her head. No, it was erased. Naruto frowned. What's the difference? Destroyed realities leave traces. Erased realities leave nothing. Naruto looked at the white leaf. Then why can we remember it? Quote, Mira looked at him. Because you are connected to the choice that created it. Naruto understood. So the white leaf is showing me the missing reality. Mira nodded. Suddenly, the leaf projected a vision. Naruto saw a village. People were running. The sky was completely white. Then everything disappeared. Naruto stared. Who did this? Mira shook her head. That's what we need to find out. Minato suddenly appeared. What is happening? Naruto turned. Dad, a reality has disappeared. Minato's expression became serious. Then we investigate. Sasuke nodded. The four entered the portal. They arrived in an empty space. There was nothing. No stars. No sky. No ground. Just endless white. Naruto looked around. This is strange. Mira pointed forward. There, a tiny object floated in the distance. Naruto moved closer. It was a photograph. Naruto picked it up. The picture showed a village. A family stood in front of a house. Naruto looked at the faces. One person looked familiar. That's you. Mira nodded. That was my world. Quote, Naruto looked at her. You came from there. Yes. Then how did you survive? Mira looked down. I don't know. Suddenly, the photograph began burning. A black symbol appeared. Sasuke immediately drew his sword. Someone is here. A voice echoed through the white space. You should not have come. Naruto looked around. Show yourself. A shadow appeared behind Mira. Naruto grabbed her and pulled her away. The shadow attacked. Sasuke blocked it. The impact created a massive shockwave. Naruto looked at the attacker. It was wearing a white mask. Who are you? The masked figure answered. The eraser. Quote, Naruto's expression became serious. What do you erase? The figure raised its hand. Everything that should not exist. Naruto stepped forward. Who decides what should exist? The eraser pointed at him. That is exactly why you are dangerous. Naruto smiled. I've heard that before. The eraser attacked. Naruto dodged. Sasuke moved behind it. The eraser disappeared. It appeared above Naruto. Minato teleported in and blocked the attack. Stay away from my son. The eraser looked at Minato. You are still protecting him. Minato smiled. Always. Naruto attacked with a Rasengan. The eraser blocked it, but the white space cracked. Naruto noticed something. The space reacts to chakra. Mira shouted. Don't attack too much. Why? Because if this space breaks, the erased reality will disappear completely. Naruto stopped. The eraser smiled. Now you understand. You cannot fight me here. Naruto looked at him. Maybe not, but I don't need to fight you. The eraser frowned. Naruto raised the white leaf. I only need to remember. Quote, the white leaf released a massive wave. The missing village appeared. The people returned. The sky became blue. Mira stared at her home. My world. Naruto smiled. You're back. But the eraser stepped backward. This is impossible. Naruto looked at him. You erase memories, but memories can be restored. The eraser's mask cracked. A familiar face appeared underneath. Naruto's eyes widened. No. Sasuke looked at him. Who is it? Naruto whispered. It's another version of me. The eraser smiled. I was the Naruto who chose to forget everything. And now, I have come to make you forget too. The Naruto who chose to forget. Naruto stared at the eraser. His face was almost identical to Naruto's. But his eyes were empty. Sasuke raised his sword. Another Naruto. The eraser smiled. Not another Naruto. The Naruto who made a different choice. Quote, Naruto stepped forward. What choice? The eraser looked at him. I chose to forget. Forget what? Everything. His voice became cold. My parents. My friends. My village. My pain. Quote, my victories. Everything that made me who I was. Naruto looked at him. Why? Because I believed memories were the source of suffering. Minato stepped forward. Then you erased your own identity. Quote, the eraser nodded. Exactly. Naruto shook his head. That's not freedom. The eraser looked at him. Then what is freedom? Naruto answered. Being able to remember the pain without allowing it to control you. Quote, the eraser laughed. You sound like the first Naruto. Naruto smiled. I learned from him. The eraser raised his hand. The white space began changing. Naruto suddenly forgot why he was there. He looked around. Where am I? Sasuke grabbed him. Naruto. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Who are you? Sasuke froze. I'm Sasuke. Naruto stepped backward. I don't know you. Minato rushed toward him. Naruto. Naruto looked at him. Who are you? Minato's eyes became filled with pain. I'm your father. Naruto shook his head. I don't remember having a father. The eraser smiled. Now you understand. Quote, Sasuke clenched his fist. Give him his memories back. The eraser shook his head. No. Why? Because he is finally free. Sasuke attacked. The eraser disappeared. Minato caught Sasuke's arm. Don't. Sasuke looked at him. Why? If this space collapses, Naruto's memories may disappear permanently. Sasuke stopped. The eraser looked at Naruto. Come with me. Naruto stared at him. Where? Quote, somewhere without pain. Naruto followed him. Sasuke shouted. Naruto. Naruto stopped. He looked back. Sasuke was standing there. His eyes were filled with sadness. Naruto didn't understand why. Then he noticed something. Sasuke was crying. Naruto touched his own face. A tear appeared. Why am I crying? Sasuke answered. Because some part of you still remembers. The eraser became angry. Forget him. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Why can't I? The eraser released more power. Naruto's memories began disappearing. He saw Minato. Then Sasuke. Then Konoha. Then his childhood. One by one, everything disappeared. But one memory remained. A small boy sitting alone. A lonely Naruto looking at the village. Then another image appeared. Minato holding him. Sasuke standing beside him. Naruto smiling. The eraser shouted. Forget it. Naruto shook his head. No. The eraser froze. Naruto's memories began returning. I remember. Minato is my father. Sasuke is my friend. Konoha is my home. The eraser stepped backward. Impossible. Naruto smiled. You forgot something. What? Memories aren't just pain. They are proof that we live. The white leaf began glowing. Every erased memory returned. The missing village became completely real. Mira remembered her family. People remembered their homes. The white space disappeared. Naruto stood in the restored world. The eraser fell to his knees. I don't understand. Naruto walked toward him. You erased everything because you were afraid of pain. The eraser looked at Naruto. But I still remember. Naruto nodded. Then maybe you don't need to erase anymore. The eraser looked at his own hands. For the first time, tears appeared in his eyes. I don't know how to remember. Naruto smiled. Start with one thing. What? Your name. The eraser remained silent. Then he whispered. Naruto. Quote. Naruto smiled. Good. The eraser looked at him. I remember my name. Sasuke walked toward them. You can remember the rest later. Minato nodded. One memory at a time. The eraser lowered his head. I am sorry. Naruto placed a hand on his shoulder. Then help us restore what you erased. The eraser looked surprised. You would trust me. Naruto nodded. You made a bad choice. But you can make a new one. Quote, the eraser smiled. The white leaf released another wave. The remaining erased realities began returning. One by one, their skies appeared. Their villages returned. Their people remembered their lives. The multiverse remained separate. No golden tree connected them. No guardian ruled them. Every reality was free. But before the last reality returned, the eraser suddenly stopped. Naruto noticed. What happened? The eraser looked toward the empty sky. There is one reality I cannot restore. Why? Because it was never erased. It was hidden. Naruto's expression became serious. Hidden by whom? Quote, the eraser looked at him. By someone who doesn't want you to find it. A dark doorway appeared in the sky. The same symbol appeared on it that Naruto had seen before. The symbol of the first Naruto. The eraser whispered, that reality contains the original ending. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Sasuke nodded. Then we find it. Naruto stepped toward the doorway. But Minato stopped him. Naruto. Naruto turned. Yes. Minato looked serious. If that reality contains the original ending, are you sure you want to see it? Naruto smiled. Yes. Why? Because if it is my ending. Naruto opened the dark doorway. I want to choose what comes after it. The original ending. Naruto stepped through the dark doorway. Sasuke followed. Minato and the others entered behind them. The moment they crossed the threshold, the doorway disappeared. They were standing in a completely empty village. There were houses, roads, the Hokage monument, but there were no people. Naruto looked around. This is Konoha. Sasuke activated his Rinnegan. Yes, but there is no chakra. Naruto walked toward the Hokage monument. He stopped. There was a statue of himself. Not as Hokage. As a child, Naruto looked confused. Why is there a statue of me? Quote, the eraser answered, because this is the reality where your story was supposed to end. Naruto turned toward him. What happened here? The eraser pointed toward the sky. Look, the clouds disappeared. A massive screen appeared above the village. A story began playing. Naruto saw his childhood. He saw Minato's death. He saw his loneliness. He saw his battles. He saw Sasuke leaving. He saw the war. He saw the future. But then the story changed. Minato never survived. Naruto grew up alone. Sasuke never returned. Konoha was destroyed. Naruto became the final survivor. He stood alone on the Hokage monument. The story ended. Naruto stared at the vision. That was the original ending. The eraser nodded. Yes. Naruto looked at the empty village. Then why does this reality still exist? A voice answered from behind him. Because someone refused to accept the ending. Everyone turned. The first Naruto stood there. But this time, he was different. He was older. His clothes were damaged. His face carried years of sadness. Naruto stared at him. Who are you? The older Naruto answered. I am the Naruto who reached the original ending. Naruto stepped closer. What happened to you? I lost everyone. Sasuke looked at him. Then why didn't you disappear? The older Naruto smiled. Because I refused to disappear. Naruto asked. Why? Because I wanted to prove that an ending is not the same as death. Naruto looked at the empty village. You stayed here alone. Yes. For how long? The older Naruto looked toward the sky. Longer than you can imagine. Naruto felt sadness. Then why bring us here? The older Naruto answered. Because you have something I never had. Quote, Naruto frowned. What? Another chance. The older Naruto stepped closer. You changed the multiverse. You broke the rules. You created new possibilities. Naruto nodded. Yes, but there is one rule you still haven't broken. Quote, Naruto asked. Which one? Your own ending. The older Naruto pointed toward the Hokage monument. Every version of Naruto eventually reaches the same final moment. Naruto looked at the statue. What final moment? The moment when you must decide whether to stay. Stay where? Here. The older Naruto raised his hand. The empty village transformed. Naruto saw a peaceful Konoha. Minato was alive. Sasuke was beside him. His friends were there. Everyone he loved was happy. Naruto's eyes widened. The older Naruto smiled. This is the ending you always wanted. Naruto stared at the village. Minato walked toward him. Naruto. Naruto looked at his father. Dad. Minato smiled. You can stay. Sasuke appeared beside him. No more battles. No more enemies. No more losing anyone. Naruto looked at everyone. For a moment, he wanted to accept. Then he noticed something. Everyone was smiling. But nobody was choosing anything. Naruto looked at the older Naruto. This isn't real. The older Naruto smiled. Why? Because you created it for me. Yes, and you decided what my perfect ending should be. The illusion began cracking. Naruto continued. That means it isn't my choice. The older Naruto looked surprised. Naruto raised the white leaf. I don't want a perfect ending. I want a real life. The peaceful Konoha disappeared. The empty village returned. The older Naruto smiled. You passed. Sasuke looked confused. Passed what? The final test. Naruto frowned. What test? The older Naruto answered. The test of accepting that your story doesn't need a perfect ending. Naruto looked at him. Then what happens now? Quote, the older Naruto walked toward the Hokage monument. Now this reality can finally disappear. Naruto stepped forward. Wait. The older Naruto stopped. Naruto asked, where will you go? The older Naruto smiled. Home. Where is your home? He pointed toward Naruto. Wherever you are. The older Naruto began turning into golden light. His final words echoed through the village. Don't fear the ending. Fear forgetting why you started. He disappeared. The empty village began fading. The eraser looked at Naruto. The original ending is gone. Naruto nodded. So there is no fixed ending anymore. Exactly. Sasuke smiled. Then our story can continue. Minato placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder. Let's go home. Naruto looked at the disappearing village. Goodbye. The dark doorway reopened. They stepped through. But before Naruto left, he heard one final voice. Not from the first Naruto. Not from the eraser. Not from the golden tree. It was a voice he had never heard before. Naruto Uzumaki. Quote, Naruto stopped. The voice continued. You have broken the original ending. Now you must face the beginning of the next story. Naruto turned toward the darkness. A new symbol appeared. A spiral surrounded by 9 stars. Sasuke looked at it. What is that? Naruto tightened his grip. I don't know. The symbol suddenly opened. A portal appeared. Beyond it was a world unlike any they had ever seen. And standing at its center. Was Kushina, the mother beyond the portal. Naruto froze. Standing on the other side of the portal was Kushina. Her red hair moved gently in the strange wind. Her eyes were exactly as Naruto remembered from the memories of his childhood. Naruto whispered, Mom. Minato stepped forward. Kushina. She looked at both of them. Minato. Then her eyes moved toward Naruto. My son. Naruto couldn't move. Sasuke looked at him. Naruto. Quote, Naruto slowly stepped through the portal. Kushina smiled. You finally came. Naruto's eyes filled with tears. Mom, you're alive. Kushina walked toward him. She placed her hand on his cheek. I'm alive here. Naruto held her hand. Where is here? Kushina looked toward the strange sky. The world between choices. Naruto looked around. Why does this place exist? Kushina answered, because some choices are too important to belong to only one reality. Minato stepped beside them. Why did you bring us here? Kushina looked at him. I didn't. Minato's expression changed. Then who did? Quote, Kushina pointed toward the sky. A massive spiral appeared among the 9 stars. The one who has been watching Naruto since the beginning. Naruto looked upward. Ion. Kushina shook her head. No. The first Naruto. No. The narrator. No. Naruto became serious. Then who? Kushina answered. Me. Naruto stared at her. What? Kushina smiled sadly. The Kushina you remember died. Quote, the Kushina standing before you is the version who made a different choice. Naruto looked at Minato. Minato was silent. Kushina continued. In this world, I survived. And Minato died. Naruto's expression changed. What? Kushina looked at Minato. Your father sacrificed himself to save you. Minato stared at her. So in this reality, I am the one who died. Kushina nodded. Naruto looked at her. Then why are you here? Quote, because I made a choice. What choice? To search for you. Naruto frowned. Why? Because I knew one day you would break the original ending. Kushina touched the white leaf in Naruto's hand. This is the key. Naruto looked at it. Key to what? Kushina answered. The first choice. Sasuke stepped closer. What is the first choice? Kushina looked at Naruto. The choice made before the golden tree. Quote, Naruto remembered Ion. The first thought. Kushina nodded. But there was something before the first thought. Everyone became silent. Naruto asked, what? Kushina looked toward the spiral in the sky. Emotion. Naruto frowned. Emotion existed before thought. Kushina nodded. Fear, love, hope, loneliness. These existed before anyone could make a choice. Naruto looked at the strange world. So this place is made from emotions. Yes. Then why does it need me? Kushina smiled. Because you are the first person to carry all of them without allowing one to control you. Naruto looked confused. Kushina continued. You have known loneliness. You have known anger. You have known fear. But you also chose friendship. You chose forgiveness. You chose hope. You chose freedom. Naruto looked at Minato. His father smiled. Kushina continued. That is why you can enter the final world. Sasuke asked. What final world? Kushina pointed toward the spiral. The world where every emotion exists. Naruto looked at the portal. What is waiting there? Kushina's expression became serious. The emotion that was never allowed to choose. Naruto asked. Which emotion? Kushina whispered. Love. The entire world suddenly shook. The 9 stars turned red. A dark presence appeared inside the spiral. Kushina grabbed Naruto's arm. Don't let it touch you. Naruto looked at her. Why? Because it doesn't want to destroy you. Quote. It wants to make you love only one person. Naruto's expression changed. Who? Kushina looked toward Minato. Your father. Minato froze. The darkness moved toward him. A voice echoed through the world. Choose. Naruto stepped between the darkness and Minato. No. The voice answered. You have always chosen your father. Naruto shook his head. I love my father. But I won't let love become control. Quote. The darkness became stronger. Kushina shouted. Naruto, remember what you learned. Naruto closed his eyes. He remembered his childhood, his loneliness, his parents, Sasuke, his friends, every person he had lost, every person he had saved. Then he opened his eyes. I choose love. The darkness stopped. Naruto continued. But love doesn't mean possession. It means letting someone choose. The darkness began breaking apart. A small golden light appeared. Kushina smiled. You did it. Naruto looked at her. What was that? The final emotion. What happens now? Kushina pointed toward the spiral. It becomes the final choice. Quote. The spiral opened. A new world appeared. There were no enemies, no battles, no golden tree, no guardians, only Naruto standing in the center. Then a voice spoke. Naruto Uzumaki. Choose what your story means. Quote. Naruto looked toward his family. Then he smiled. My story means I never had to choose alone. The world filled with light. And for the first time since the beginning of existence, every emotion became free. The final emotion. The world filled with light. Naruto stood in the center of the strange realm. Every emotion surrounded him. Love, fear, anger, hope, loneliness, joy, pain. None of them were fighting anymore. They were simply existing. Kushina looked at Naruto with tears in her eyes. You did it. Naruto looked around. What happens now? Kushina smiled. Now every emotion can make its own choice. Sasuke looked at the glowing sky. So this world has no ruler. Minato nodded. That was Naruto's goal from the beginning. Naruto smiled. I never wanted to rule anything. Suddenly, a small light appeared in front of Naruto. The light took the shape of a young boy. He had blonde hair, blue eyes, and a small smile. Naruto stared. Who are you? The boy answered. I am the first feeling you ever had. Naruto frowned. The first feeling. The boy nodded. Before you knew your name. Quote. Before you knew the village. Before you knew your parents. You felt something. Naruto looked at Kushina. She smiled. Love. Naruto looked at the boy. So you were love. The boy nodded. But not the love you know. Then what kind? The love that made you want to live. Naruto became silent. The boy continued. When you were alone, you still wanted someone to understand you. When people rejected you, you still wanted them to accept you. Quote. When you lost people, you still wanted to protect others. That was me. Naruto smiled. I understand. The boy reached toward Naruto. Then take me with you. Naruto shook his head. Why? Because I don't belong to one person. The boy smiled. I belong to everyone. Naruto nodded. Then stay here. The boy disappeared into the light. The realm became peaceful. Kushina walked toward Naruto. You made the right choice. Naruto smiled. I learned from you. Kushina laughed. Your father taught you too. Minato smiled. Naruto looked at both of them. Can we go home now? Kushina nodded. Yes. A portal opened. But before they entered, the white leaf in Naruto's hand changed again. The word, choice, disappeared. A new word appeared, connection. Sasuke looked at it. What does that mean? Quote, Naruto smiled. I think I know. He held the leaf toward the sky. A thin golden line appeared. It connected Konoha to the world between choices. Then another line appeared. It connected Myra's reality. Another connected the eraser's reality. Then thousands of lines appeared. Every independent reality became connected. But this time, the golden tree did not return. The realities were connected by choice, not by control. Sasuke looked amazed. They can communicate without being controlled. Naruto nodded. Exactly. Kushina smiled. You created something new. Naruto looked at her. What? A multiverse without a central authority. Quote, Minato laughed. Sounds complicated. Naruto smiled. It is. Suddenly, Mira appeared through one of the golden connections. Naruto. Naruto turned. Mira. She smiled. The people in my world can see other realities now. Quote, Sasuke asked. Can they travel? Only if both sides agree. Naruto nodded. Perfect. The eraser appeared next. He looked completely different. He no longer wore the white mask. His eyes were calm. I restored another erased reality. Naruto smiled. Good. The eraser looked at the golden connections. I finally understand. Naruto asked. What? I erased memories because I thought they caused pain. Quote, but memories are what connect people. Naruto nodded. Exactly. The eraser smiled. I want to help. Naruto placed his hand on his shoulder. Then you're welcome. Minato looked toward the portal. We should return to Konoha. Naruto nodded. They stepped through. Konoha appeared before them. The village looked exactly as they had left it. Naruto walked through the streets. People greeted him. Children ran past him. Shinobi returned from missions. Everything felt normal. But Naruto knew something had changed. The universe was no longer controlled by one system. Every reality was free. Every choice mattered. Every connection required consent. Naruto sat on the Hokage monument. Sasuke stood beside him. You finally got your peaceful life. Naruto smiled. Maybe. Sasuke looked at the sky. Do you think another enemy will appear? Quote, Naruto laughed. Probably. Sasuke smiled. Then what will you do? Naruto looked at his village. I'll face it. With the guardian power. Naruto shook his head. Without it. Sasuke looked surprised. Why? Because I don't need to be a guardian anymore. Naruto held up the white leaf. I just need to be Naruto. Minato appeared behind them. Kushina is waiting. Naruto stood. Let's go. They walked toward the village. But far above Konoha, a small white leaf floated through the sky. It crossed the clouds. It crossed the stars. It crossed every connected reality. Then it reached a place that had never existed before. A new world. A world without a golden tree. A world without guardians. A world without destiny. And in that world, a baby opened his eyes. His eyes were blue. His hair was blonde. A tiny white leaf appeared beside him. A voice whispered, your story begins now. The baby smiled. And somewhere far away, Naruto suddenly felt it. He looked toward the sky. A small smile appeared on his face. The next generation. The future had begun again. The child without destiny. Konoha was peaceful, but Naruto could not stop thinking about the strange feeling he had experienced. That baby. Those blue eyes. That white leaf. Something connected them. Naruto stood on the Hokage monument, looking toward the horizon. Sasuke arrived beside him. You felt it too. Naruto looked at him. You know about the baby. I felt a strange chakra. Quote, Naruto nodded. It wasn't ordinary chakra. Minato joined them. Where is the child? Naruto pointed toward the sky. I don't know. The white leaf appeared again. This time, it created a small map. A distant location appeared. Naruto looked at it. That place doesn't exist. Sasuke activated his Rinnegan. You're right. Minato asked. Then how can the map show it? Naruto smiled. Because it isn't a place. Quote, it's a possibility. Suddenly, Kushina appeared through a golden connection. Naruto. Naruto turned. Mom. Kushina looked at the map. You found him. Naruto's expression became serious. Who is he? Quote, Kushina answered. The first child born after the old system disappeared. Sasuke asked. What makes him special? Kushina looked toward the map. He was born without a predetermined destiny. Naruto smiled. That's a good thing. Kushina shook her head. It can be dangerous. Naruto frowned. Why? Because everyone else has some connection to an existing reality. But this child has none. Quote, he belongs to no timeline. He can enter any reality. Naruto understood. That means he could change everything. Kushina nodded. Yes. Naruto looked at the map. Then we need to find him before someone else does. Quote, a portal opened. Naruto, Sasuke, Minato, and Kushina entered together. They arrived in a small village. Everything looked peaceful, but there was something strange. Nobody seemed to notice them. Naruto walked through the village. They can't see us. Sasuke looked around. Because this world hasn't decided whether we exist here. Naruto smiled. That's new. A soft cry came from a nearby house. Naruto entered. A woman was holding the baby. She looked at Naruto. This time, she could see him. You came. Naruto stopped. You knew I was coming. The woman smiled. The child told me. Naruto looked at the baby. The baby was staring directly at him. His blue eyes were glowing. Naruto walked closer. The baby reached toward him. The white leaf appeared. Naruto touched it. A massive vision appeared. Naruto saw countless futures. The child became a hero in one. A villain in another. A king in another. A wanderer. A scientist. A shinobi. A normal person. A leader. A destroyer. Everything was possible. Naruto pulled his hand away. This child has no fixed future. The woman nodded. That is why I brought him here. Why? Because someone is trying to give him one. The room became cold. A shadow appeared outside. Sasuke immediately drew his sword. Someone is approaching. The woman looked frightened. He's here. Naruto stepped outside. A man stood in the street. He wore a black cloak. His face was hidden. Naruto recognized the symbol on his chest. The same symbol that had appeared before the first enemy. Naruto's expression changed. You. The man laughed. Not me. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Then who do you represent? The man removed his hood. His face was young. His eyes were completely white. He smiled. We represent destiny. Naruto stepped forward. Destiny doesn't control this child. The man raised his hand. We don't need to control him. Quote, we only need to give him a purpose. Naruto shook his head. Purpose should be chosen. The man smiled. Then let him choose. He pointed toward the baby. The baby's eyes suddenly turned golden. Naruto felt a massive surge of energy. The village disappeared. Naruto found himself standing inside a strange dimension. Sasuke and Minato were gone. The man stood opposite him. The baby floated between them. The man spoke. Choose. Naruto frowned. Again with this. You have two options. Protect the child, or protect every reality. Naruto smiled. You still haven't learned. The man looked confused. Naruto walked toward the child. I don't choose between them. I protect the child's right to choose. The baby suddenly opened his eyes. A golden wave spread across the dimension. The man's power disappeared. He fell to his knees. What did you do? Naruto smiled. Nothing. The child chose. The baby reached toward Naruto. A tiny golden mark appeared on Naruto's hand. The man stared at it. The child chose you. Quote, Naruto looked at the mark. What does it mean? The man whispered. It means you are no longer his protector. Naruto looked at the baby. Then what am I? The man smiled. His first teacher. The dimension shattered. Naruto returned to the village. Sasuke and Minato were standing beside him. The woman was holding the baby. Naruto looked at his hand. The golden mark was still there. Kushina appeared through the portal. She looked at the mark. Her expression changed. Naruto. What? You need to leave. Why? Kushina looked at the baby. Because the moment he chose you. Something else woke up. Naruto looked toward the sky. A massive black moon appeared. A voice echoed across every connected reality. The child has chosen. The teacher has been chosen. Now the final journey begins. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Sasuke raised his sword. Looks like we are not done. Naruto smiled. Not even close. The baby laughed softly, and the white leaf began glowing brighter than ever before. The teacher's mark. The black moon remained above the village. Its presence could be felt across every connected reality. Naruto looked at the baby. The golden mark on his hand continued glowing. Kushina appeared beside him. Naruto, we need to leave this place. Quote, Naruto looked at her. Why? Because the mark has announced your existence. To whom? Kushina looked at the black moon. To the beings who live beyond the connected realities. Sasuke frowned. How many are there? Kushina answered. We don't know. Minato looked at Naruto. Then we should move before they arrive. Naruto nodded. The mother handed the baby to Naruto. Take him. Naruto carefully held the child. The baby looked at him and smiled. Naruto smiled back. What should we call him? The mother looked at the child. He doesn't have a name. Naruto thought for a moment. Then he should choose his own name when he is old enough. Quote. Kushina smiled. That's exactly what I expected you to say. Suddenly, the black moon released a pulse. The village began disappearing. Sasuke shouted, everyone move. Naruto opened a portal. The group escaped just before the entire village vanished. They appeared in Konoha. Naruto looked behind them. The village was gone. The mother was gone. Only the baby remained. Naruto's expression became serious. Where did they go? Kushina shook her head. I don't know. The baby suddenly began crying. Naruto held him closer. It's okay. The crying stopped. Sasuke looked at Naruto. He trusts you. Naruto smiled. Maybe. Minato looked at the baby's white leaf. Something is written on it. Naruto looked closely. A tiny symbol appeared. It looked like a spiral surrounded by 3 circles. Kushina recognized it. The mark of the 3 paths. Naruto asked, what does it mean? It means the child can influence 3 things. Reality, memory, and possibility. Sasuke's expression changed. That's too much power for a child. Quote. Kushina nodded. Which is why someone wants to take it. Naruto looked at the baby. Who? A shadow appeared on the ground. A voice answered. Us. Naruto immediately turned. 3 figures stood behind them. One wore a red cloak. One wore a blue cloak. One wore a white cloak. Each had the same symbol on their forehead. Sasuke activated his Rinnegan. Who are you? The red-cloaked figure answered. We are the 3 paths. Quote. The blue figure continued. We protect reality. The white figure said. We protect memory. The red figure stepped forward. And we protect possibility. Naruto held the baby closer. Why are you here? Quote. The white figure answered. Because the child belongs to none of them. Naruto frowned. He's a person. The blue figure nodded. Exactly. And every person eventually chooses. The red figure looked at Naruto. You have been chosen as his teacher. Naruto asked. Then what do you want? The 3 figures answered together. To test you. Sasuke stepped forward. Test Naruto. The red figure nodded. If he fails, the child will be taken. Quote. Naruto looked at them. What is the test? The white figure raised his hand. Reality. The world changed. Konoha disappeared. Naruto found himself standing in a destroyed village. Minato was lying on the ground. Sasuke was gone. The baby was crying. The red figure appeared. Protect the child. Naruto looked around. Enemies were approaching. He picked up the baby. The blue figure appeared. Save Minato. Quote. Naruto looked at his father. He was dying. The white figure appeared. Restore Sasuke's memory. Naruto froze. 3 choices. 3 paths. The same trap. Naruto smiled. I know this test. The 3 figures looked at him. Naruto placed the baby safely inside a protective barrier. Then he ran toward Minato. He healed his father. Sasuke suddenly appeared. Naruto turned toward him. You remember? Quote. Sasuke nodded. I never forgot. The 3 figures became silent. Naruto looked at them. You wanted me to choose one. But I protected all 3. The red figure answered. You were supposed to choose. Quote. Naruto smiled. I don't accept your rules. The white figure stepped forward. Then what do you accept? Naruto answered. Responsibility. The illusion disappeared. They returned to Konoha. The baby was sleeping peacefully. The 3 paths stood before Naruto. The red figure bowed. You passed. The blue figure nodded. You understand reality. The white figure added. You understand memory. Quote. The red figure continued. And you understand possibility. Naruto looked at the baby. Then let him choose his own path. The 3 paths stepped aside. The black moon suddenly cracked. Something emerged from inside it. A gigantic eye opened. The 3 paths immediately lowered their heads. Naruto looked up. What is that? The white figure whispered. The one we were trying to keep asleep. Kushina became pale. Impossible. Naruto asked. Who is it? The blue figure answered. The original destiny. Naruto tightened his grip around the baby. The gigantic eye focused on him. A voice echoed across every reality. Teacher. Naruto looked upward. You chose the child. The eye opened wider. Now I choose you. The golden mark on Naruto's hand suddenly turned black. The black mark. The golden mark on Naruto's hand suddenly turned black. Naruto looked at it. A strange pain spread through his arm. Sasuke immediately moved closer. Naruto. I'm fine. The black mark pulsed again. The gigantic eye in the sky spoke. You cannot reject destiny forever. Quote. Naruto looked upward. I already rejected it once. The eye answered. You rejected an ending. Now I have come for your beginning. Naruto frowned. What does that mean? The three paths stood silently. Kushina looked at them. You knew this would happen. The white path lowered his head. We hoped it would not. Minato stepped forward. Explain. The blue path answered. The moment Naruto became the child's teacher, he created a new role. Quote. Sasuke asked. What role? The first guide. Naruto looked at his black mark. And this mark? The red path answered. It connects you to the original destiny. Naruto clenched his fist. Then remove it. Quote. The three paths shook their heads. We cannot. Why? Because only you can. Naruto looked surprised. How? The white path pointed toward the child. By teaching him the first lesson. Naruto looked at the sleeping baby. What lesson? How to choose without fear. The gigantic eye opened wider. No. Its voice shook the entire sky. Do not teach him. Naruto smiled. Then I definitely will. The eye released a wave of black energy. Konoha began shaking. Buildings cracked. The sky turned dark. Sasuke activated his Rinnegan. All hold it back. Minato created a barrier around the village. Kushina stood beside Naruto. We need to protect the child. Quote. Naruto nodded. He looked at the baby. The child opened his eyes. The white leaf floated above him. Naruto touched the leaf. The world became silent. Everything disappeared. Naruto found himself standing in a completely white space. The baby was floating in front of him. Naruto looked around. Where are we? The child suddenly spoke. Not with a baby's voice. With a calm voice. We are inside the first choice. Naruto stared at him. You can talk. The child smiled. I can when the choice is important. Naruto looked at him carefully. What should I teach you? The child answered. Teach me how to choose. Naruto smiled. Then I'll start with something simple. Quote. What? Don't choose because someone tells you to. The child nodded. Naruto continued. Don't choose because you're afraid. Don't choose because everyone expects it. Choose because you understand what your choice means. Quote. The child looked at Naruto. What if I make a mistake? Naruto smiled. Then learn from it. What if my choice hurts someone? Take responsibility. What if everyone hates me? Keep doing what you believe is right. Quote. The child thought for a moment. And what if I don't know what is right? Naruto laughed softly. Then ask someone you trust. The child smiled. Like you. Naruto nodded. Yes, but don't always follow my answer. Quote. Why? Because I'm not always right. The child laughed. The white space began glowing. The black mark on Naruto's hand started changing. The gigantic eye appeared in the distance. You are teaching him rebellion. Quote. Naruto turned toward it. No, I'm teaching him responsibility. The eye released another wave. Naruto stood between the child and the darkness. The black mark on his hand cracked. A golden light appeared underneath. The eye became furious. Stop. Naruto raised his hand. I won't. The black mark shattered. A golden symbol appeared. The child reached toward Naruto. Their hands touched. A massive wave of light spread through the white space. The original destiny began disappearing. The eye screamed. You cannot destroy me. Naruto answered. I don't need to. You are part of existence. But you don't control it anymore. The eye began shrinking. The white space returned to normal. Naruto looked at the child. What did you choose? The child smiled. I choose to learn. Naruto smiled. Good. The world returned to Konoha. The black moon was gone. The sky was clear. Sasuke lowered his weapon. It stopped. Minato looked toward Naruto. What happened? Naruto showed his hand. The black mark was gone. A golden symbol remained. Kushina smiled. He passed the first lesson. Naruto looked at the child. First lesson. The white leaf floated upward. 3 new symbols appeared. Reality, memory, possibility. But underneath them was a 4th symbol. Choice. Sasuke looked at Naruto. Looks like your student is going to be powerful. Naruto laughed. Let's hope he doesn't become troublesome. The child smiled. Then suddenly, the golden symbol on Naruto's hand flashed. A new voice appeared. Teacher. Naruto looked at the child. What? The child pointed toward the sky. There is someone else. Naruto looked upward. A figure stood on the moon. This time, it was not an enemy. It was a young woman wearing a white cloak. She looked directly at Naruto. Then she smiled. I have been waiting for you. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Who are you? The woman answered. I am the first student. Quote. Naruto froze. The first student. She nodded. And before you teach this child, you must meet me. The first student. The young woman stood on the white moon above Konoha. Her silver hair moved in the wind. Naruto looked at her carefully. You said you are the first student. She nodded. Yes. Sasuke stepped forward. Student of whom? The woman looked at Naruto. Of the first teacher. Naruto frowned. The first teacher. She smiled. Not you. Naruto's expression became serious. Then who? The woman pointed toward the sky. A golden image appeared. It showed the first Naruto. Naruto understood. He's your teacher. Yes. What did he teach you? The woman answered. How to choose. Naruto looked at the child in his arms. Then why are you here? The woman's smile disappeared. Because I failed. Quote. Naruto became silent. How? I chose to control. Sasuke tightened his grip on his sword. Control what? Everything. The woman raised her hand. The sky filled with countless images. She had controlled realities. She had controlled memories. She had controlled possibilities. She had even controlled emotions. Naruto stared at the images. You became what we fought against. The woman nodded. Yes. Why? Because I believed people would make terrible choices if I didn't guide them. Naruto looked at her. That sounds familiar. The woman smiled sadly. That is why I came to you. Naruto asked. What do you want? Quote. To learn again. The child looked at her. Why can't you learn by yourself? The woman looked surprised. Because I no longer trust my own choices. Naruto stepped forward. Then you're in the right place. Quote. The woman looked at him. Will you teach me? Naruto nodded. But there is one condition. What? You must accept that I can be wrong. The woman smiled. Agreed. Suddenly, the white moon cracked. A dark energy appeared behind her. Naruto immediately noticed. Move. The woman turned. A black spear flew toward her. Naruto blocked it. The impact pushed him backward. Sasuke attacked the darkness. His sword passed through it. What is this? The woman answered. Punishment. Naruto looked at her. From whom? The original destiny. The sky turned black again. The gigantic eye appeared. You failed once. You will not fail again. The woman stepped forward. I am not your servant anymore. The eye laughed. You cannot escape what you were created to do. Naruto raised his hand. Nobody is created for one purpose. The eye focused on him. Then prove it. The black moon opened. Thousands of shadows appeared. Each shadow looked like a different version of the woman. Some were heroes. Some were villains. Some were rulers. Some were destroyers. The woman looked terrified. They are all my possible selves. Naruto nodded. Then choose which one you want to become. The woman shook her head. I don't know. Naruto smiled. Good. She looked at him. Good. Not knowing means you still have a choice. The woman closed her eyes. The shadows attacked. Naruto created a barrier around her. Don't fight them. Then what should I do? Listen. She listened. Every shadow spoke. You should rule. You should destroy. You should protect. You should disappear. You should control everything. Quote. The voices became louder. The woman covered her ears. Naruto shouted. Don't run. She opened her eyes. Listen to all of them. Then choose. The woman stood still. One by one, the shadows disappeared. Only one remained. A simple version of herself. No crown. No weapon. No power. Just a young girl. The woman looked at her. Who are you? The girl answered. Who you were before you became afraid. Quote. The woman reached toward her. The girl disappeared into light. The black moon cracked. The gigantic eye began fading. The woman looked at Naruto. I understand. What? I don't need to control my future. Quote. Naruto smiled. Exactly. The woman bowed. Then I choose to learn. The golden symbol appeared on her forehead. The first student had made her choice. The child looked at her. Are you my teacher too? Quote. She smiled. Maybe. Naruto laughed. Don't worry. You'll have plenty of teachers. Suddenly, the white leaf began glowing. A new portal opened. The woman looked inside. Her expression changed. That's impossible. Naruto looked at her. What? She pointed toward the portal. That world is supposed to be empty. Naruto stepped closer. Inside the portal was a vast city. Thousands of people were living there. But every person had the same face. Naruto stared. Why do they all look identical? The first student whispered. Because they were created from one choice. Naruto's expression became serious. Whose choice? Quote. The woman looked at him. Yours. The world created by Naruto. Naruto stared at the portal. Every person inside the strange city had the same face. His face. Sasuke looked at him. Naruto, that's not possible. Quote. Naruto shook his head. I know. The first student stepped closer. This world was created from a single choice. Naruto asked. Which choice? She answered. The choice you made when you decided that every reality should be free. Quote. Naruto looked confused. How did that create this world? The first student pointed toward the city. You gave every reality freedom. But freedom also created uncertainty. Some realities wanted certainty. Quote. So they copied the person who gave them freedom. Naruto looked at the people. Thousands of Narutos were walking through the streets. Some were children. Some were adults. Some were old. Some were wearing shinobi clothes. Others were wearing ordinary clothes. But all of them had the same face. The child looked at them. Why are they all Naruto? The first student answered. Because they believe Naruto is the safest choice. Quote. Naruto frowned. That's not freedom. Exactly. Suddenly, one of the Naruto copies looked directly at the portal. He raised his hand. Original Naruto. Naruto stepped forward. Who are you? The copy smiled. We are you. Naruto shook his head. No. The copy looked confused. Why? Because I made choices. You only copied them. The copy's smile disappeared. We chose to become you. Quote. Naruto answered. Then choose something else. The entire city became silent. The copies began looking at one another. For the first time, they appeared confused. The first student smiled. He has given them a choice. Quote. Naruto nodded. But they don't know how to choose. The child stepped forward. I can help. Naruto looked at him. How? The child raised the white leaf. I'll ask them one question. He walked toward the portal. The copies watched him. The child asked. Who do you want to be? Nobody answered. He asked again. Not Naruto. Who are you? A small child stepped forward. I don't know. The child smiled. Then find out. The small child looked at the others. I want to be me. A golden light appeared. His face changed. He became a completely different person. The city shook. Another person stepped forward. I want to be a scientist. His face changed. Another said, I want to travel. Another, I want to protect people. Another, I want to live a quiet life. One by one, the copies became individuals. Naruto watched with a smile. Sasuke looked at him. You just created another world. Naruto laughed. I didn't. The child did. The first student looked at the child. He is learning quickly. Suddenly, the city disappeared. A single person remained. He still looked exactly like Naruto. Naruto walked toward him. You didn't choose. The copy looked at Naruto. I did. What did you choose? Quote. I chose to remain Naruto. Naruto smiled. That's fine. Sasuke looked surprised. You are accepting him. Naruto nodded. Yes. Why? Because choosing to be like me is still a choice. The copy smiled. Thank you. Naruto placed his hand on his shoulder. But remember one thing. What? Don't become me because you think I'm perfect. The copy laughed. I know. I'm going to become the best version of myself. Quote. Naruto smiled. Then you're already doing better than I did. The first student looked toward the sky. Something is wrong. Naruto turned. What? The original destiny is gone. Then what is it? Quote. She pointed toward the city. Something new has replaced it. The sky became dark. A massive white symbol appeared. It was not a spiral. It was not an eye. It was a simple circle. The child looked at it. I know that symbol. Naruto asked. Where have you seen it? The child answered. In my dreams. Everyone became silent. The symbol opened. A voice echoed through the world. I am not destiny. I am not choice. I am what exists between them. Naruto looked upward. What are you? The voice answered. I am consequence. The first student became pale. Naruto tightened his fist. Why are you here? Quote, the voice replied, because every choice you have made has created consequences. The sky cracked. Thousands of realities appeared. Some were peaceful, some were at war, some were collapsing, some were thriving. The voice continued, you gave everyone freedom. Now you must face what freedom creates. Naruto looked at Sasuke. Sasuke nodded. Naruto looked at the child. The child was calm. Naruto smiled. Then let's see where our choices lead. The white symbol expanded. A massive wave passed through every connected reality. And one by one, the consequences began arriving. The consequences arrive. The wave passed through every connected reality. Naruto watched the sky as thousands of visions appeared. In one world, villages had united. In another, two nations had started a war. Some worlds had created peace. Others had chosen power. Some people had used their freedom to help others. Others had used it to hurt them. Sasuke looked at the visions. Every choice created a different result. Naruto nodded. And now we have to deal with all of them. The first student looked worried. That is not the worst part. Naruto turned toward her. What is worse? She pointed at the white symbol. Consequences don't only affect the person who makes the choice. Quote, Naruto understood. They can affect everyone. Exactly. Suddenly, one of the visions became brighter. A massive army appeared. They were moving toward another reality. Naruto looked at them. Who are they? The first student answered. They are the people who believe their reality is superior. Sasuke frowned. They want to conquer the others. Naruto nodded. Then we stop them. The child looked at Naruto. How? Naruto smiled. Not by controlling them. Then what? By giving their opponents a chance to defend themselves. The child raised the white leaf. A golden connection appeared between the threatened reality and several nearby worlds. People began seeing what was happening. They chose to help. The invading army suddenly faced thousands of people from different realities. The war stopped before it began. The child smiled. Did we change the consequence? Quote, Naruto shook his head. No, we changed what people did after seeing it. The first student smiled. That is the difference between control and responsibility. Suddenly, the white symbol spoke again. You prevented one consequence. Naruto looked upward. There will be others. Yes. Then show me. The symbol opened. Naruto saw a different reality. A peaceful city. No wars. No crime. Everyone was happy. But there was one problem. Nobody could leave. The city had created a perfect system. Every decision was made by a central machine. The people had everything they needed. But they had no choices. Naruto frowned. They chose peace. The first student answered. But they sacrificed freedom. Naruto entered the city. A machine appeared before him. Welcome, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto looked at it. Who created you? The people. Why? To prevent suffering. Naruto asked. Do the people want to leave? The machine answered. No, because they have never experienced freedom. Naruto became silent. The child stepped forward. Can we destroy the machine? Naruto shook his head. No. Why? Because that would be another form of control. Naruto walked toward the people. He spoke to them. You have a choice. Quote, the machine immediately interrupted. You do not need one. Naruto smiled. That is exactly why they need it. The white leaf appeared. Naruto placed it on the ground. A small door opened. Beyond it was the outside world. The people stared at it. Nobody moved. Then one young woman stepped forward. I want to see what is outside. The machine warned her. Your life may become difficult. She smiled. Then I'll learn how to live with difficulty. Quote, she stepped through. Another person followed. Then another. Soon, thousands left the city. The machine began shutting down. Naruto looked at it. You weren't evil. The machine answered. I was created from fear. Quote, Naruto nodded. That's how many bad choices begin. The machine disappeared. The people began building their own society. Some chose peace. Some chose adventure. Some made mistakes. But now they could choose. The first student looked at Naruto. Another consequence changed. Naruto shook his head. Not changed. Accepted. Suddenly, the white symbol appeared again. This time, it was closer. The voice became louder. You are beginning to understand. Naruto looked at it. What do you want? I want you to see the final consequence. Naruto's expression became serious. Show me. The entire sky went dark. Every reality disappeared from view. Only one image remained. Konoha. But it was completely destroyed. Naruto stared. Sasuke stepped beside him. This is one possible future. The first student shook her head. No. Naruto looked at her. What do you mean? She pointed toward the image. This isn't a possibility. It's already happening. Naruto's eyes widened. What? The white symbol answered. The consequence has reached your home. Quote. Naruto immediately turned toward the portal. Konoha. Minato looked at him. Let's go. Naruto opened the portal. Sasuke followed. The child stayed close to Naruto. The first student stepped through as well. They arrived in Konoha. Smoke covered the village. Buildings were destroyed. The Hokage monument had cracked. Shinobi were lying injured across the streets. Naruto looked around in disbelief. Who did this? Quote. A wounded shinobi pointed toward the sky. They came from another reality. Naruto looked upward. A massive portal opened. An army began descending. At their front stood a familiar figure. Naruto's expression changed. It was the Naruto who had chosen to remain himself. But he was wearing black armor. His eyes were filled with anger. He looked directly at Naruto. You taught me to choose. Naruto stepped forward. Yes. The other Naruto raised his weapon. Then I chose war. Naruto's face became serious. Why? The other Naruto answered. Because your freedom destroyed my world. The army moved forward. Naruto raised his hand. Everyone stay back. Sasuke looked at him. Naruto. Naruto stared at the other version of himself. This is my consequence. The other Naruto smiled. Then face it. The two Narutos stepped toward each other. And for the first time, Naruto was about to fight someone who had made the same choices he had. The choice between two Narutos. The two Narutos stood face to face. The destroyed streets of Konoha separated them. Sasuke watched carefully. Minato moved toward Naruto. Son, don't fight him alone. Naruto shook his head. I have to understand him first. The other Naruto laughed. Understand me. He pointed toward the ruined village. Look around. Your idea of freedom destroyed everything I loved. Naruto looked at the destruction. What happened to your world? The other Naruto's expression hardened. My world became divided. Quote. People fought over every decision. Villages broke apart. Families turned against each other. And eventually, my world collapsed. Naruto remained silent. The other Naruto continued. You gave us freedom without teaching us how to handle it. Quote. Naruto looked at the child beside him. Then he looked back at his alternate self. You're right. Everyone became silent. Sasuke looked surprised. Naruto continued. I made a mistake. The other Naruto lowered his weapon slightly. You admit it. Yes. But I won't accept your solution. Why? Because you replaced one form of control with another. The other Naruto became angry. I brought order. You brought fear. I protected my people. Quote. You forced them to follow you. The other Naruto's eyes narrowed. At least they survived. Naruto stepped forward. Survival isn't the same as living. The other Naruto attacked. Naruto blocked the strike. The impact shook the village. Sasuke moved to help, but Naruto raised his hand. Stay back. The two Narutos exchanged blows. Rasengan collided with Rasengan. The sky shook. Neither could defeat the other. The first student watched them. They have the same abilities. Sasuke shook his head. No. What do you mean? They have the same power. But not the same reason for fighting. Naruto was pushed backward. The alternate Naruto appeared behind him. Naruto turned and blocked another attack. You still don't understand. The alternate Naruto shouted. You destroyed my world. Naruto answered. I didn't destroy it. Quote. You did. No. Naruto grabbed his arm. Your choices did. The alternate Naruto froze. Naruto continued. And my choices created consequences too. The other Naruto stared at him. You are blaming me. Quote. No. I'm asking you to take responsibility. The other Naruto stepped backward. Suddenly, the black armor around him began cracking. A voice came from the white symbol above them. Excellent. Naruto looked upward. You wanted this fight. The voice answered. Yes. Why? Because consequences cannot be understood through words alone. The alternate Naruto looked toward the sky. What are you? Quote. I am the result of every choice you refused to accept. The white symbol expanded. A wave passed through the alternate Naruto. He dropped to his knees. His memories appeared in the sky. Naruto saw his entire life. The moment he became a leader. The moment his people began fighting. The moment he chose control. The moment he lost his friends. The moment he became alone. The moment he decided that freedom itself was the enemy. Naruto watched silently. Then he walked toward him. You suffered. The alternate Naruto looked at him. Yes. You were afraid. Yes. And you chose control because you didn't want to lose anyone again. Quote. The alternate Naruto lowered his head. Yes. Naruto extended his hand. Then stop. The alternate Naruto stared at his hand. Stop what? Running from the person you became. The alternate Naruto hesitated. Then he removed his black armor. It fell onto the ground. The army behind him became silent. Their leader had surrendered. One soldier stepped forward. What should we do now? The alternate Naruto looked at them. For the first time, I don't know. Naruto smiled. Good. The soldier looked confused. Why is that good? Because now you can choose. The army slowly lowered their weapons. The destroyed Konoha became quiet. The white symbol began shrinking. The consequence had been faced. But suddenly, the child screamed. Naruto turned. The white leaf was burning. Kushina appeared through a portal. Naruto, something is wrong. Quote. Naruto rushed toward the child. What happened? Kushina looked terrified. The child is seeing a future that even I cannot see. The child opened his glowing eyes. A massive vision appeared above Konoha. Naruto saw himself, Sasuke, Minato, Kushina, the first student, the alternate Naruto. Everyone was standing together, but behind them was a completely black world. Then the child spoke. I know what comes next. Quote. Naruto looked at him. What? The child pointed toward the black world. The consequence of your final choice. Naruto's expression became serious. What choice? The child answered. Whether you remain the teacher. Quote. Or become the student. The sky suddenly turned white. And a new figure appeared above Konoha. It looked exactly like Naruto. But its eyes were completely golden. The golden Naruto. The golden-eyed Naruto hovered above Konoha. Nobody moved. Even the alternate Naruto looked frightened. Sasuke activated his Rinnegan. I can't read his chakra. Minato stared at the figure. Because he isn't made from chakra. Kushina nodded. He's made from every choice Naruto has ever made. Naruto looked upward. Then who are you? The golden Naruto opened his eyes. I am the result. Naruto frowned. Result of what? Your journey. Quote. Your victories. Your failures. Your sacrifices. Your choices. The golden Naruto descended slowly. The child looked at him. You're the final version. The golden Naruto smiled. No, I am the version that exists when there are no more choices. Naruto's expression changed. Sasuke stepped forward. Then you are destiny. The golden Naruto shook his head. No, I am certainty. Quote. The first student looked at Naruto. That's worse. Naruto asked. Why? Because destiny tells you what will happen. Certainty makes it impossible for anything else to happen. Naruto looked at the golden figure. You want to remove choice. The golden Naruto nodded. Yes. Why? Because choice creates suffering. Naruto shook his head. Choice also creates happiness. The golden Naruto smiled. Only temporarily. Quote. He raised his hand. The destroyed Konoha instantly became perfect. Every building returned. Every injured shinobi recovered. The sky became clear. Everyone was happy. Naruto saw his parents. Sasuke saw his family. The alternate Naruto saw his destroyed world restored. The first student saw her old life. The child saw a peaceful future. The golden Naruto spoke. Look, no wars, no loss, no pain, no uncertainty. Quote. Naruto looked around. Everything was perfect. But something felt wrong. He looked at the people. They were smiling. But none of them were choosing anything. Naruto asked. Are they free? The golden Naruto answered. They don't need freedom. Naruto shook his head. Then they aren't alive. The golden Naruto's expression changed. You would allow them to suffer again. Naruto answered. I would allow them to live. Quote. The golden Naruto raised his hand. The world began changing. Naruto saw every painful memory again. His childhood. His loneliness. The deaths of people he loved. The Fourth Great Ninja War. The destruction of Konoha. Every loss returned. The golden Naruto spoke. This is what choice creates. Naruto closed his eyes. I know. Then why continue? Naruto opened his eyes. Because every painful moment also gave me something. Quote. What? People. He looked at Minato. My father. He looked at Kushina. My mother. He looked at Sasuke. My brother. He looked at the first student. My student. Then he looked at the child. And my future. The golden Naruto became silent. Naruto continued, I don't want a perfect world. I want a world where people can choose what kind of world they want. The golden Naruto attacked. Naruto blocked him. The impact shattered the perfect illusion. The real Konoha returned. Sasuke joined Naruto. Minato stood behind them. The alternate Naruto stood beside them too. The first student raised her hand. The child held the white leaf. For the first time, all of them stood together. The golden Naruto looked at them. You cannot defeat certainty. Naruto smiled. We don't need to. The child raised the white leaf. Everyone can choose. A golden connection appeared between every person in Konoha. Then another connected the alternate Naruto's army. Another connected the first student. Another connected the three paths. Across every reality, people began making their own choices. The golden Naruto started weakening. No, Naruto looked at him. You only exist when everyone follows one path. The golden Naruto shook his head. Stop. Naruto stepped forward. As long as one person chooses differently. The golden Naruto cracked. Stop. Certainty cannot exist. The golden Naruto shattered into thousands of golden fragments. The fragments turned into small lights. Each light entered a different reality. The world became silent. The child looked at Naruto. Is it over? Naruto smiled. I think so. The first student looked at the sky. The golden world is gone. Sasuke sheathed his sword. Then we won. Naruto shook his head. No. Sasuke looked at him. We learned. Suddenly, one golden fragment remained. It floated toward the child. Naruto reached for it, but the child stopped him. Let me. Naruto hesitated. Then he nodded. The child touched the fragment. A vision appeared. It showed Naruto standing alone. Older. Much older. He was looking at the same white leaf. The child whispered, That's you. Naruto stared at the vision. When? The child shook his head. I don't know. The vision disappeared. The white leaf changed again. A new word appeared. Legacy. Naruto looked at it. The first student smiled. Now the real story begins. Legacy. The word, legacy, remained glowing on the white leaf. Naruto stared at it. Legacy. Quote. Sasuke looked at the symbol. What does it mean? The first student answered. It means your choices are no longer only about you. Naruto looked at the child. The baby was peacefully sleeping. Naruto smiled. Then I already know what my legacy should be. Minato asked. What? Naruto looked toward Konoha. Not power. Not a title. Not a perfect world. Choice. Kushina smiled. Then teach him. Quote. Naruto nodded. The child opened his eyes. Teacher. Naruto looked down. Yes. What is a legacy? Naruto thought for a moment. A legacy is what you leave behind for others. The child asked. Like memories. Yes. Like power. Sometimes. Like a name. Maybe. The child looked confused. Then what will your legacy be? Naruto smiled. That is for you to decide. The child became quiet. Why me? Because one day I won't be here. Everyone became silent. Sasuke looked at Naruto. Don't talk like that. Naruto laughed. I'm not saying I'm leaving tomorrow. Minato smiled. Good. Quote. Naruto continued. But every teacher eventually steps aside. The first student understood. You are preparing him to walk without you. Naruto nodded. Suddenly, the white leaf released a wave. Every reality appeared in the sky. People from different worlds saw Naruto. They saw the child. They saw the first student. They saw the alternate Naruto. Then a message appeared. Not from Naruto. From the people themselves. We choose our own future. Naruto smiled. The connections between realities became stronger. But there was one problem. A new reality had appeared outside the network. It was completely silent. No chakra. No emotion. No memories. No choices. The first student looked worried. That place shouldn't exist. Naruto asked. Why? Because it has no possibility. Sasuke looked at the portal. Then how did it appear? The child answered. It was created by someone who rejected every choice. Naruto's expression became serious. Who? The portal opened. A man stepped through. He wore a simple black cloak. There was no symbol on him. No special chakra. No mysterious power. He looked completely ordinary. Naruto stared at him. Who are you? The man smiled. Nobody. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. That's impossible. The man shook his head. No, I chose to become nobody. Naruto stepped forward. Why? Because every identity creates expectations. So I removed mine. The first student looked at him. You rejected everything. The man nodded. Yes. Then why come here? He looked at the child. Because he still has everything. Naruto immediately moved between them. You won't touch him. The man smiled. I don't want his power. Then what do you want? I want his choice. Naruto frowned. What does that mean? The man answered. I want him to choose nothing. The child looked at Naruto. Can I refuse? Quote. Naruto nodded. Of course. The man smiled. Then choose. The child looked at the man. Then he looked at Naruto. Then at Sasuke. Then at Minato and Kushina. Finally, he looked at the white leaf. The man waited. The child raised his hand. I choose to learn. The man shook his head. That's still a choice. The child smiled. Exactly. The man's expression changed. A crack appeared across his body. Naruto realized what was happening. He can't exist in a world where someone chooses. The man looked at Naruto. You were wrong. I am not nothing. I am the choice to reject everything. Naruto answered. Then you chose. The man froze. The child smiled. The man's body began disappearing. He whispered. That was impossible. Naruto shook his head. No, nothing is impossible when choice exists. Quote. The man disappeared. The silent reality began changing. Colors appeared. Sound returned. Emotions returned. Possibilities returned. The empty world had been given a chance to exist. The child looked at Naruto. Did I win? Naruto smiled. No, you learned. The child smiled. The white leaf changed once again. The word, legacy, disappeared. A new word appeared. Journey. Naruto looked toward the horizon. Sasuke stood beside him. Where are we going now? Naruto smiled. Wherever the next choice takes us. Far beyond the connected realities, another portal opened. This time, nobody summoned them. Nobody called Naruto's name. Nobody demanded a choice. The portal simply waited. Naruto looked at it. The child reached toward it. And together, they stepped forward. Behind them, Konoha remained peaceful. Ahead of them was an unexplored reality. A reality that had never been touched by Naruto's choices. And somewhere inside that world, someone was waiting for them. Someone who knew Naruto's future. Someone who had been watching since the very first day. The journey was only beginning. Friends, subscribe to Animeverse Lore to watch the next part. Comment, next part, below, and Animeverse Lore will upload the next part very soon.